Here we go, high impact, low brass. Daily tip number 28. Today we're gonna cover exercise number 3 in our warm-up routine, and that's going to be our stretch exercise. So for this one, what we're working on is opening up, using a ton of air, and controlling our air as we play. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start on a low B flat, and we're gonna open our mouth physically as much as we can, and we're gonna add more air as much as we can to the horn, and those two things in combination are gonna allow us to stretch, kind of like a glissando, or if you were watching a movie, that THX sound at the beginning of each movie, that's kind of what we're after, that slow dragging stretch. Now what we're gonna do with that though is we're gonna keep our fingering combos or our slide positions the same. So B flat to F, we'd stop, pause, take a breath, and then go F up to tuning B flat, stop, again, pause, analyze, and then come back down. B flat to F, take another breath, F to low B flat. And that's one sequence. And then we'd go down to second position, second valve, A natural, E natural, A natural, E natural, A natural. And we'd move down chromatically until we get to low F or low E, depending on what your valve combos or slide positions allow you to get to. So for this exercise, a couple things to keep in mind. Number one, we want to make sure that we're focusing on the stretch, not the notes. It's a stretch exercise, not a notes exercise. So don't spend too much time on the note that you're either starting on or going to. We want to spend all of our time, energy, and air on the actual stretch. Second thing I want you to focus on is making sure that we don't cheat this by lipping the exercise. It's actually very easy to tell if you're cheating it. If you're almost too good at playing this, it's going to imply that most of the time you're going to be lipping it. So instead of using your face and your lip ability to kind of bend the note, we want to focus on opening up using your air to get the stretch done. It will work both ways, but if we're lipping it, it's literally the opposite of what we're trying to accomplish. Next thing I want you to focus on is, again, making sure you take a really nice breath and then immediately hit the note. We're going to tongue with a good da attack, just like on our tonguing exercises. And as soon as that first note speaks, I want you to immediately start the stretch. A lot of us are going to get hung up just kind of sitting on that first note for a while, and every bit of air you're burning up is going to make your stretch suffer that much more. So make sure you get off that first note somewhat quickly, not rushed, but don't spend time on it. And lastly, what I also want you to remember is that, again, this is a stretch exercise. So getting to the next note is completely unimportant. The important part is the stretch toward it. So if you run out of air and the ability to keep stretching up halfway through that stretch, that's fine. That's actually better than moving through the stretch too quickly just to get the next note out. So focus on the stretch and the process getting there, not on the note you're going to. I know you guys can play low B flat, F, and high B flat. So here is an example of that. We're going to talk through a few of these. Here we go. All right, so on that one, I noticed that I spent a little bit of time on the low B flat more than I would want to. So on this one, I'm going to try to start the F and get off of it a little bit quicker and then open up, use even more air. Here we go. All right, so that one was a little bit better. I did feel a little bit tight and that I kind of opened up more at the end than I did on the stretch. So coming down, what I'm going to try to do is open up even more. Now, as we start coming down, also remember the stretch going up is going to typically be much more difficult than the one coming down. So your goal is to make them as even as possible and just recognize that going up, you need even more air because it's gonna use up every bit you have. So here we go, coming back down, I'm focusing on this time, making sure that I'm trying to open up more from the very beginning and not just save it for the end. Here we go. Better, but I definitely felt like I kind of lipped it, and also I felt as if if I was to kind of break my stretch into pieces, I kind of jumped the last little bit without actually stretching it. So I kind of started the stretch, da, and then I went da and just jumped. So I want to make sure I'm a little more gradual. So here we go. I'm going to try to finish it out. Alrighty, so when this exercise goes through, keep in mind a couple things. You may find that you double buzz on this routine. That's okay. You're literally trying to almost create a scenario where you can double buzz because you're opening up a ton more than normal and you're using as much air as you have, but you might run out of air and that would cause a double buzz. This is also not going to be the most pretty and beautiful playing we were going to do. We still want it to sound good, but the focus is pushing the limits and really opening up. This is going to be the exercise that allows us to have a lot of flexibility on the horn, make sure we're moving through these octaves or even more interval work smoothly and really help our playing. So really dig into this one, ask questions if you've got any for us, and we'll see you tomorrow.